So just before the video does start, just a quick little ad on a trading service I offer over on Twitch. I do daily trading guides including loads of price sheets for special card trading, silver trading and so on and so on. And you get them daily over there for £5 a month or free with Amazon Prime. Yo, so guys, and welcome to a brand new video. And in today's video, what I'm going to be doing is talking through two different investments you guys can make between now and Wednesday, even though the market is crashing due to Ultimate Team of the Season. So first off, we'll just talk about the crash quickly. I'm basically predicting the market to keep crashing all the way through to next Tuesday. So that means cards that I use for Weekend League are kind of out of the window. And yeah, so let's go and crack underway with the first investment, and that is going to be fodder. Now, fodder obviously is super mainstream. In fact, it was so mainstream it didn't do well last week. But we can take something from that. And that is going to be that you just don't go with the stuff that is so mainstream. So, some fodder did well last week, some fodder didn't do well last week. Let me go and give you an example of some fodder that didn't do well on the Wednesday. So, you got the likes of Alonso. Now, Alonso did rise quite nicely going into Wednesday last week. I think, well, you can obviously see a rose here from 1.5 or even 1.6 on the Monday, which is what the equivalent today, if I'm not wrong. And he rose all the way up there to 2.6, but he went up to 3.1 and then dropped very fast. The reason for this is because he was very cheap and very mainstream. Another player that I think did the exact same thing was like Kolarov. Again, very cheap, very mainstream. We saw him go up, but then we saw him crash pretty hard. There you go, you can see the Wednesday and then a hard drop. But if we look at cards that weren't as mainstream, and the reason they weren't as mainstream is because they're quite expensive in the first place. They're not as good value for money. But as a result of them not being as good value for money, people don't see them as an investment. They go, ooh, they're not so amazing. And we look at the likes of Dembele. We see that the casual trend was for all the mainstream investments that they went up on the Wednesday, then down on the Thursday. We see that Dembele actually rose. And the reason for this is because, again, he's not as mainstream because he's not as good value for money. So as a result, we can take from this that there has to be high chem needed. There luckily was high chem needed last week and the week before. There's not guaranteed to be high chem needed, but nonetheless there are a few investments you can go for. So again, you've got to look at the stuff that isn't as mainstream. Now, I still prefer defenders and wingers. If you're on the safest position, that's going to be centre-backs, because every formation has at least 2 to 3 centre-backs. But other than that, you need to try and keep it away from mainstream, kind of like the cheapest of each position. So I'm just going to scroll through right now and just see if we can find anything. Player that did quite well last week was Ricardo Pereira. Again, he's not the cheapest 82 right back, if I'm not wrong. Let's have a look at that. Cheapest 82 right back. Now, you've got the likes of Munier, you've got the likes of Hakimi. You might even guess, well, actually, no, these guys aren't going to get too cheap. So he's not the cheapest, which means he won't be as mainstream as such. But he's a player, if I'm not wrong, did very well last week. Where are we going? Wednesday. He had a little bit of a drop on the third, so I can tell you for free, they actually went up to 6k. Which obviously means if you had to buy on the Tuesday for 3.4 and go and sell him on the Wednesday for I think 5.9 to 6.2k, you're still making a very good profit. So that'd be a good player because he's not as mainstream. Let's go and find another player who isn't as mainstream. I know Alex Tellers did very well last week. So here's an example, right? So you've got Kolarov for 2.5 and you've got Schulz for 2.8. And then you've got Roussillon for 4.2. Now, if I'm not wrong, Roussillon actually did quite well because why would you go invest in Roussillon when you could go invest in Nico Schulz and Kolarov? But if I'm not wrong, he still did very well. For the reasoning that, why would you invest in him? There's the Tuesday. And there you go, there's the Wednesday. We can see there's a rise between the Wednesday and the Thursday. Whereas if we look at the likes of Nico Schulz, I believe he didn't do as well. Or maybe I'm wrong because it was Bundesliga week, so he actually did do quite well last week. Let's have a little look. Wednesday. No, he did plateau out, in all fairness. If we look at Kolarov, though, I believe Kolarov didn't do too well. Let's have a little look. Oh no, we already showed you Kolarov. But yeah, so Kolarov didn't do too well. Not quite sure how Digne did, because Digne was very mainstream week 1. Although he's 5k, so he's not as appetizing, but he did well week 2 as well. So we can look at the left backs, and if I'm to give you some recommendations, I'd say Roussillon, I'd say Grimaldo, I'd say Digne. I think they're going to be some very nice investments. Other than that, everyone else is a little bit too pricey. In fact, where are the... oh yeah, we haven't got the 84s. Let's have a little look at some 84 wingbacks. Just while we're here. Gaia banged and then crashed really fast. Yeah, Tellers at 6.4 wouldn't be too bad. Once again, he's not as mainstream, so do quite well. And then again, I think we've already looked at the likes of right backs. We can also have a little look at centre backs. And when I say mainstream centre-backs, we're probably looking at the likes of... Who normally does very well? Maybe the likes of Serbian Romano. I don't know if the centre-backs didn't do as well last week. Let's have a little look how Ezekiel Garay did. 1 month. No, the centre-backs did quite well. I guess the mainstream was on the wing-backs and the wingers. But yeah, there you go. Ezekiel Garay did quite well. So if we look at centre-backs, even someone like Raul Albiol, who is mainstream, I think the case of overinvestment really was just with the wing-backs. Yep, even the likes of Raul Albiol. So, of course, that is in your accolade players you can go and buy. The likes of Barcher wouldn't be that bad. The likes of Romagnoli, the likes of David Luiz and Akanji. These would do very well because, again, David Luiz is never excessively good value for money. And there you go, Wednesday, Thursday, we can see they held price, which, you know, in turn basically means they rose. Because, obviously, this is the hourly of the day. So, what you got to understand is, if he banged in the evening, that's only going to be the last 3 hours of the day. So, that's not going to average, you know, excessively high. And likewise with this one, we're going to see it probably drop in the late hours of the day. So that's why that one isn't higher, even though the prices can be way, way higher. So, I mean, if I have a little look at centre-backs right now, and I'm to pick out some non-mainstream centre-backs, I'd probably say the likes of Akanji, the likes of David Luiz, even the likes of Jonathan Tah might do quite well, and the likes of Stones. I mean, how well did we see Stones do last week? If we can load that up right now. 1 month. We actually saw, it's interesting, we saw Stones go down on PlayStation but up on Xbox. But yeah, I mean, obviously the rise between the Tuesday and the Wednesday was still pretty good. So the not so mainstream fodder should do well. I mean, we're going to look at wing-backs right now, wingers right now, because there was a lot of wingers that were overinvested and didn't do well. For example, the likes of Arazibal did super well the week before, but because he did super well the week before, didn't do as well. Likewise with the likes of Navas and Sousa, they didn't do as well. Someone like Ribery, though, who I feel would be way less mainstream, I imagine would have done quite well last week. Let's have a little look. How did he do on Wednesday? Yeah, so you see Ribery got all the way up to 4.1, whereas Arazibal was struggling to push past 2.1, 2.2. So once again, you can see the not so good value for money, the not so mainstream investments do a lot better because you've got way less people investing in them, and as a result, they do better. So if I give you some left mids, I know Kostic did very, very well. Yeah, obviously the likes of Ribery did quite well. Guedes, again, the Guedes and Carrasco's didn't rise overly too much, but I don't know, actually. That is quite cheap for Carrasco. I think Carrasco actually might have been 6 last week. Also, another thing, a lot of the money was in the 83s to 84s. Yeah, actually, I like Carrasco banged. Although because he banged last week, that might not be too good. Sensio normally does very well. The reason for this is because he's Spanish from the La Liga, so gets a lot of easy links. I mean, yeah, we're seeing him bang all the way up there to 7 PM. And that's because he's 5.7, whereas the likes of Guedes, I mean, the Guedes and Carrasco might be, for example, just like this week where they're only 3.2. It's like, why would you go buy Asensio for 1.4k more? Well, as a result of everyone having that mindset, not so many people invest in the Asensios, and the Asensios do well. So, if I'm to give you some non-mainstreams, you've got the likes of Martial, you've got the likes of Asensio. These are all relatively mainstream, pardon me. You've got Ribery, who isn't mainstream. Kostic isn't. I mean, Guerrero wouldn't, but that'd be a little bit too low rated. But the likes of Sanchez and Arazibal at this point are just getting very, very mainstream. If we look at the likes of right wingers, Politano did awfully, Sousa did awfully, Nedved didn't do very well. Navas didn't do very well, sorry. The likes of Bellarabi banged again. Again, if you look at him, it's like, why would you go and buy him 82 rated? Well, you could go and buy him 82 rated for like 1k as such. Well, likewise, he did very, very well because he wasn't mainstream. And as a result, he banged. If I can go and show you once again. There you go. See the Wednesday and the Thursday, him banging. So if I'm going to give you some right mid recommendations, I'd say Bellarabi, Thorgan Hazard. Could go Bernardeschi. Nicolas Pepe, 4k wouldn't be the worst in the world. Any more? Maybe Correa at 2k. I mean, how did Correa do last week? Correa's always like 1k more than the other La Ligas, but yeah, once again, I mean, he didn't do that well actually. But I mean, obviously, if you were to go and buy him on the Monday, that's a really nice ride. So I would recommend buying these players today on the Monday. You can see a lot of these would have been the cheapest on the Monday. Also, we don't know what SBCs are going to drop during the weekend. Because this fodder is very, very cheap, it wouldn't be a bad shout to go and pick up. So I think that's going to have us done for fodder. So you want to look at 81 to 84 rated defenders and wingers that aren't necessarily the cheapest of the rating. Basically, you just want to stick away from mainstream stuff. So go stuff that's a little bit more expensive than everyone else in their rating because less people are going to buy it as a result. and therefore it is going to rise more. Now we're going to crack underway the second investment, and this is the investment I'm going to be going quite heavily into, and that is going to be icon centre mids. And especially icon centre mids who are about 90 to 300k. So a lot of players this weekend are going to be a little bit iffy. There's some some predictions that they're going to rise because of Ultimate Team season, but there's other predictions going off of, well, because the market dropped so much last year, people may take that advice or take that sort of information and as a result not buy into this week because of how much the drop was. So there's a little bit of speculation about the market not rising, but one player that does really, really well week after week after week is icon midfielders. Now, my theory why people are using icon midfielders is because there's so many good minor league players and so many good major league players that people are either getting in the reds, they're getting in the, I don't know, the guaranteed packs, upgrade packs throughout the week, that people are stuck with like 4 or 5 different leagues where they have 6 team of the seasons or untradables. And as a result, the main links, or the main ways these are linked is via midfielders. Because of course you've got the midfielders are going to link up your right wing to your right back. There'll be that middleman. Your midfielders will be maybe in the 4-5-1, therefore getting your striker to your centre mid. You've arguably do have like centre backs as such, but again, there's a few positions going off of them. But because of like the how a few of the 4-3-3s work, icon centre mids are really, really important for getting chemistry. And that's one of the reasons why the really cheap discard icon centre mids do well, because it's like people don't really care. They don't care about these centre mids. They're like, I just want to get all these really nice players on chemistry, and the only way of doing that is via the icons. So they don't really care who they use. Which as a result, the rubbish like baby ones do really well. I mean, we'll see here week after week after week. We've got the Wednesday 123 up there to 146. That's a 23 increase, 23k increase, which is almost a 20% rise. Once again, we see the Wednesday 114k. So up to 129. That's a 15k increase. Again, it's about a 15% increase even, is it? No, it's just below a 15% increase. And once again, we've got this one, 118. Didn't do as well last week, but if I'm not wrong, he was peaking more than the average. Again, you got to understand that's an average of the day, and they're going to be progressive throughout the course of the day. So Thursday evening, Monday morning is when you sell these, and I can show you this happens throughout the course of all of the cheap icon midfielders. So, not hourly, sorry. We're going to look at daily. And again, we can see right here on the Tuesday, Wednesday, seems to be the buy point, 229, up there to 152. And once again, 130 up there to 143. So after that, it's going to be an 8k profit. If we look at the prime moments, I'm just interested to see how these do. Do these do as well? Let's say pick on the Wednesday. Nah, bear in mind there's tax. It's only a 13k profit. I mean, here would have been nice. I think that might have been the week of the La Liga. So really, your money is on the cheapos. You know, I generally would say 90 to no more than 300k. Because again, this Guardiola 210. That's a 236. I would sell them again Thursday evening going through to Friday morning. Previous times I've just sold them all very early in the morning, and then they've all risen another 5-10k. So I've mugged myself off of coins. I guess I'll quickly just go through the icon midfielders and tell you who you can go and get. I'd kind of keep it to the centre mid / CDMs because cams just aren't used as much. So I mean, let's see if this loud drop goes back to that point that yeah, there you can see the cams just don't have the effect that the CDMs and the centre-mids do. In fact, he didn't even rise this weekend for that. So the players I would recommend would be Scholes. I think Scholes does well. Let me just double check him while we're here. Scholes does pretty well, right? He did last week. Week before he did okay. I mean, he rose 15k. Xbox, you can see this trend is way more prominent with. But let's have a little look. Try and think of ones I commonly flip on the weekend. Sometimes goes from like 90 to 110, which is quite nice. Costa, I think Costa goes from 150 to 170. Let's have a little look. Keane goes from, I think it's about 150 to 170. Can't call on Lampard. This Veron, in fact, does very well week after week after week. Let's see if we can just double back that. Yeah, you can see right there, 198, all the way up there to 225. Once again there, 203, up there to 223. So yeah, that Veron does very well, going off of experience. That Pirlo does quite well. He goes up to about 200 odd. Guardiola, I believe, goes up to 200 odd. Gattuso might go to about 280. Gerrard, I think Gerrard does quite well if I'm not wrong. I think he goes from like 240 to 280 even. He has like mad fluctuations. Where are we going? Wednesday, 240. There you go, look, 240 to 280, and I think he even did quite well this week. 235 there to 267, so not bad anymore. Might as well give you the download. That Keane does quite well. Costa does quite well, even though he's a cam. I've seen him do well. The middle Veron does quite nicely. I'd stick away from the Catters. All the Gattusos do really nicely. The Baby, the Middle, and the Prime do well. All the Guardiolas do well. Give or take, all the Verons do well. Lampard's the Baby in the middle. Lampard do well. That Ballack does well. I'm not too sure on the Gerrard. But yeah, that Gattuso does well. The Guardiola does well. And about it. So they are the two investments I do recommend you guys. So once again, you've got fodder that isn't mainstream. And you've got icon midfielders. Icon midfielders you're looking to buy on Tuesday, Wednesday. Fodder that isn't mainstream you're looking to buy today on the Monday. So hopefully that's helped you out, guys, with the time of panic we're in with like Ultimate Team season as such. And yeah, also by the way, Thursday you'll get my first ever awards. We as I say, we haven't played Week in E for 2 years. We've probably played less than 250 games even over the last 2 years, and we managed to get an 18 and 12 with 1 DC. So very happy with that. But there's some content you expect to see Thursday, and in fact, content you can expect to see tomorrow. We have grinded up about 250 to 300 of these Liga and 81 plus packs, and you guys will be able to see that tomorrow once we've grinded them all out. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with a brand new video.